Jillian, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, can I start by asking like your interest in this topic? Like what's your story and behind you creating Booby Grow?
Yeah, so Booby Grow became about because I was on a personal weight loss journey and everybody always gets excited like it's gonna always be great to like reveal a new body and like take that time. So I was really diligently just adjusting my whole food regimen. I was someone that was like an avid cookie eater, ate like quarter tub of ice cream a day, was a huge foodie, ate my feelings constantly. And so when I finally shifted gears and decided that I wanted to start eating healthfully, it took a long time. It took me almost like a year and a half to lose all the weight that I wanted to. But then throughout that process, it was like my mom's family, which is mostly like Scottish lineage, and then I have Denmark lineage. A lot of us like already have decent boobs, like B cup, C cup, whatever. But then the problem was when I lost all the weight, I had nothing. I went
Ah,
completely flat
yeah.
in my chest and I was like, whoa, like I was used to having size here and now I'm completely hollowed out. I literally don't need a bra anymore. Like I'm officially part of the itty bitty titty committee and I was at this space of almost being like, okay, on the one hand, I feel and I look healthy, but on the other hand, as a woman, your breasts represent so much to you, especially when when you're used to having them as well. So it was like a part of me had disappeared that I didn't realize actually how important those things were to me, right?
Yeah, I
And
suppose like any change in life is a loss, so that shift from wait, I used to have boobs, where'd they go? Would be a learning,
yeah,
right?
and my whole body composition changed. It was like now I had glutes for the first time ever, so I had curves in new places, but then I was like no boobs and I was the kind of person that I already was really not for getting any kind of surgery, didn't want to go under the knife. I was starting to become aware of the narratives in the media. Like there's a lot of celebrities going through explant surgeries, right? Where maybe they had the implants because they're like, yeah, I want this like hourglass, like top tier body type, but then they step into getting implants and then they find themselves with like crazy immune issues, skin rashes that don't go away, their body gets really puffy. And these are all things that happen almost like compounding. So with each like 6 months to a year, women are getting more and more issues. And I actually was working with a girl at the time who she had gotten implants and then it was like 6 months into getting them, she was complaining all the time. This girl was so upset. She's like, oh my goodness, they're already sagging. I need to go under the knife again. And I'm doing the calculations in my head and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like we're counting up a $15,000 surgery if you're going to get it done right. Plus, you're supposed to re up every 5 to 10 years and like do another surgery and stuff. So it was just like, oh, like it gave me the heebie jeebies. I didn't want to go down the route of getting surgery. And I'd already been connected with a company in Europe that was effectively and legally on the market growing boobs naturally. And I'd
Hmm.
met people that had taken these different herbs. Most of them were like malt and kind of hop based. And then it had all of these kind of fillers that I personally wasn't a fan of. This is at the era where gluten free diets were popping off like a decade ago, right? And so I was seeing the ingredients and I was like, I don't like this. So I'm coming into this with the eyes of, I know that you can naturally grow the breasts. I know this because my diet had a change on my boobs. So just that alone can tell you that as a woman, like your breasts are always in flux, right? So it's like, granted, I think I realized I'm like, okay, a lot of my breast tissue was because of fat. I was holding onto fat. That's where I was prone to gaining it. And then I got started asking myself question. I'm like, well, can you spot fat? Like, in exercise, even you're often like, can I get rid of my arms? Like, can I?
Right, right.
There's these ideas that go through your head about what's possible with the body, and I was just really interested in kind of pushing my own limits with my herbal medicine knowledge and my nutrition knowledge and starting to experiment on myself and several women around me who were like consenting to a process of experimentation. So um, I'd studied already herbal medicine for 4 years in California. There was already a lot already in my textbooks, kind of hinting at like, oh, if you shift, the way that the breasts are receptive to your body's own estrogen, that can create like isolated circulation to the breast that actually will end up with larger size.
Hmm.
So I was finding these bits of information, and what I was finding in my own personal research was that no, you're not going to, in your research, very often see, oh, hops increases breast size, or fennel increases breast size, or ketogenic diets increase breast size. But what you will see is when you get into like the plant compounds, so like the specific extracts found in certain plants, boom, that's where all the research is hanging out. So for example, I found all these articles that were like, okay, the extract in this specific herb, this specifically leads to an increase in mammary gland weight and density. And to go deeper into the research, it would be like increasing collagen in the boobs. It would be like increasing the fibroblasts. It would be all of this languaging just basically to secure that the skin was tightening and firming specifically in the breasts.
And I imagine this research wasn't actually geared at breasts at all. This is just something they were discovering as they're looking at these compounds, or am I wrong about that?
So it was actually research geared to help understand the effect of plant compounds on breasts and on
Okay.
breast
Okay.
health,
So it was
right?
specifically on breast and breast health. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. And so it was like the further that I started to get curious about plant compounds and research those plant compounds, the more research I kept coming and finding. And I was at this place of like, okay, well, now I've discovered there's 20 herbs out there already that are great with supporting breast health in some way. So it's not just like breast growth, it could be breast firming, it could be tightening the skin, lifting effects. So there was quite a wide variety that started to show itself. And then my second challenge was, well, how am I going to find something that's affordable, that's accessible, that's not an endangered species of plant, right? And for
Mm-hmm.
something that's generally neutral in its effect on the majority of women, meaning that it has the least side effects possible,
Right. Right. Right.
right? And so over a year and a half in this experimentation, I finalized to one single formulation um, of an herbal concoction, and it's just 5 different herbs in combination that some woman will take. And then it would be noted that it was like 95% of people between 18 to 55 that they would grow a cup size in
Mm.
that time. But then what I also had to discover was there was like a few women throughout the trials that it ended up being they were not growing. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, they're taking the herbs, but what's not working? And then I started to realize it was like this one client, Christy, she was in fitness modeling and she was really, really active, but her caloric intake was about 800 calories short a day of what it needed to be.
Ah.
And she was mostly surviving on carbohydrates and like lean protein. And so what I did was I increased her fat content and her caloric intake, and boom, a month in, then she was getting the growth that she'd been waiting to get, right? That was not happening fast enough. So I ended up turning this whole program into just that, like a lifestyle program for women that want to understand the holistic aspects that are involved in having healthy breasts that are luscious, firm, and growing from where they were before.
Right. All right. So let's back up a second. What are breasts actually made of? Because I would think of
Mhm.
mammary glands and I would think of fat. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure I'd come up with anything else. So like when we're talking about the science of how this works, what's in
yeah.
there and what is it we're affecting? Is it all of it, or, if you could speak to that?
Yeah. So what is it affecting? So there's 3 different components. So the fat component is when you're eating special types of fats, that's helping with firmness. That's helping with helping the breast to be fuller, right? So if you don't have healthy fats, you're not even producing the hormones necessary to have healthy breasts. Another big component is circulation. So what we've discovered with some of the research is that if you are stimulating the nipples, right? If you're doing any kind of nipple play, breast massage for, exceeding 5 minutes daily over a period of 30 days, for example, that there's a signal that goes off in the pituitary gland, a part of the brain, and it will register like, oh, release certain hormones, release circulation specifically to the breast, that the breasts will swell,
Hmm.
right? And I know women, even in my day-to-day life, I had a girl last week I sat down and had dinner with, and she was telling me, she's like, whenever I massage my breasts, they are noticeably a different size.
Huh.
And that's not even herbs involved. That's not lifestyle. That's just an
That's
act
just
of
attention,
self-love.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was an act of self-love. And so we also suggest massages as well. The herbs themselves, what they're doing is they're helping to activate your breast receptors. The estrogen receptors in the breast get activated. So it's almost like, think of it as if you have like landmines, but only 20% or 30% of them are actually alive, right? And lit up with energy. When you're using the herbs, these plant compounds, they're like energizing the breast so that you're getting more hormonal flow of estrogen and luteinizing hormone to the breasts. So it's more of your own estrogen that it's
Which
helping
that
to
does that
kind of
stimulate
relocate.
of growth of some sort of material then, or
Yeah,
cells or something? Okay.
stimulating circulation, stimulating collagen, stimulating growth. And it's neat too because there's a lot of these herbs where it's like there's a lot of other benefits. Like women will often take some of these herbs for things like, when they have heavy periods, when they're missing their cycles, maybe they have their period every like 8 weeks or something, or it's kind of hit and miss. So these herbs are commonly used for women with menstrual discomfort, right? And even postmenopausal issues.
Okay.
So there's like a kind of a myriad of different other things that kind of come along with using some of these herbs.
When I'm thinking about if the breasts get more supple and fuller and tighter because of the fat, or if the estrogen is stimulating collagen growth, like I'm imagining these are benefits you might also want, in your face or your skin. I mean, like that, it's probably having an impact in more places than just breasts, right?
I have a girl that messaged me Monday and she was telling me about how her eyelashes are noticeably longer with use of it. And I have a lot of women that will speak to like their hair not having as much breakage. I have girls that have said their acne's cleared up. We don't like make those claims around it. However, the research is definitely there. If you even just look into the effect of, flaxseed over a long period of time and like how that benefits the body. Even like blessed thistles, one of the herbs in it that a lot of women will use when they're going through breastfeeding, and it will help to support milk production
Mm-hmm.
and the ease of milk output. So we don't recommend this program when you're pregnant, but if you're breastfeeding or later in life, we have women that use it, and we have women even 59 years of age, 61 years of age that will do the program and receive benefits for it.
Hmm.
It's a little bit slower, the impact, if they're going for growth, but the benefits are still there.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. I mean, I'm not a doctor,
Yeah.
but if I'm having the thought, people that are listening might have the thought. When I think about estrogen reception in the breast, it raises a question of like isn't some cancer related to breasts being especially sensitive to estrogen? Like, is there any increased cancer risk, or is it preventative? I mean, explain the difference to us lay
Yeah.
people that.
Yeah, totally. So, like some of these herbs, for example, they have been shown to have a benefit for breast health and even an indication to reduce the likelihood of having breast cancer or reduce the chances of it. So there's benefits that way. The conversation of estrogen is very complex for the average person to understand because we're not taught that there's multiple different types of estrogen.
Mhm.
So, for example, the most harmful form of estrogens out there right now are the xenoestrogens. It's spelled like XENO, estrogen. Xenoestrogens are mostly found in perfumes, they're found in lotions, they're found in like a lot of cosmetics. And these have 1,000 times of a strong effect on your hormones and estrogen than your own body's creation of estrogen, your own
Right.
estradiol, your own estriol, your own estrone. Okay. Those are like your body's natural estrogen sources. So the xenoestrogens that are man-made, that are in these products, that are in the environment, that we're using all the time, those are actually like the biggest source of
Yeah.
estrogen risk to our bodies and to those risks of cancer. And unfortunately, it's everywhere. Like the increase of these xenoestrogens has like 20 times since the Industrial Revolution. It's
Hmm.
just so widespread because we're using plastic bottles, we're using all of these different plastic materials to cook our food in, and then that's getting absorbed into our food, these microparticles, and then that leads a burden to the liver that has a whole hard time with trying to get rid of this excess estrogen that's often the real culprit of problems.
Yeah.
So phytoestrogens, to contrast, are what's known as plant-based estrogen sources, right? Phytoestrogens have one thousandth of the effect than
Mm.
your body's own production of estrogen. So it's a lot more minimal in contrast to when you're talking about estrogen sources.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the conversation that people will get really confused with and overloaded with. There's a lot of women, even myself, who've been estrogen dominant, even in tests, that will use phytoestrogens actually to regulate my estrogen.
Mm.
And that will show up for me. It's like a lot of the signs of estrogen dominance will be like gaining weight, puffiness, sometimes moodiness, like feeling foggy in the mind. There's a lot of different symptoms associated with it. So if you really want to have somebody that's like going deep into it and trying to figure out what's right for them, you could totally do a hormonal test. There's an amazing company in the States called like Steroid Mike's, and they'll order a lab test for like $100. You can get your full panel of estrogen tested. That's a really great idea. There's also an amazing doctor, Lorna Vanderhaeg, and she has some different like quizzes and work online that she talks more about this. So I recommend that women go and like educate themselves more so that they understand these different sources of estrogen and realizing like the differences in how they're operating.
Right. But does any of these differences among women, I mean, are some of them more better candidates for your product than others? Like, are there some that it's like, oh, you really shouldn't use this because of some sort of estrogen balance or cancer risk or something like that?
Yeah, like I would say like I'd err on the side of caution still for clients with, cancerous conditions. I think it's like an important idea to get the lifestyle sorted first. Is it a red flag to take these herbs with that? That's a little bit more like, not necessarily. Like on the one hand, you have like two of the three ingredients are saying that they're supportive for breast health and for women in that condition, but it's not like this is a cure or a treatment for that
Right,
issue.
right,
And
right,
so
right,
if I was dealing with cancer, my first priority is not like, let's grow my breasts. It's
right.
like, let's clean my lymphatic system out. Let's clean up my health. Let's like get my body into state of wellness before even looking at something like this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I answered
You did. You did. Thank
that.
you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Okay, so another question on my mind, so maybe other people are thinking about this too. When I just think about increasing breast size, I can't help but think, is this just for the male gaze? Is this for other people's opinion? What about people who are perfectly happy with their breasts exactly how they are? Like, how do you sort of talk about the benefit of or the role of thinking about breasts and breast size for people that are, I don't know, just doing this for themselves as opposed
Totally.
to other people?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like walking a very interesting line because even the way that I speak to it, it's never about orienting towards other people. It's often about like my personal experience in my body and feeling how
Hmm.
I want to feel and choosing from a sovereign place. And the message has never been bigger is better. It's like that you have choice, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
in the same way that people can choose to do gua sha and lymphatic release or Botox, it's like I'm standing as someone in the holistic side of the industry, showing women real time that like we have women that grow 1 cup size, 2 cup sizes, even 3 cup sizes over time, right? That's a choice that they're making because of how they would feel balanced in their own body. So
hmm,
a lot of the clients that I have, for example, they're like, well, I'm rich in the back, like I got a honking great butt, but like I don't have the girls to match, and so they're
yeah.
using it for that. But we actually have, it's almost like 40% of our clientele are actually moms. It's like they've gone through the process of breastfeeding and they're not wanting to feel like they have to sacrifice that part of their body because they've now had a kid. And so it's like
Hmm.
something really deeply personal and something that is like a challenge. And so the way that I'm always speaking to it is from that place of choice, sovereignty, choosing something you can feel good with, not from the standpoint of like feel insecure than this, but at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time, at the end of the day, the reason why I even chose to like explore this path for myself was because I was like, dang, I was used to something that was important to me and I lost that. And I don't want to have to go and gain a bunch of weight again to have this again. What's a healthy way that I can achieve this for myself, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was curiosity and a desire to feel like myself again that moved me to create this.
Yeah. I appreciate you speaking about that, the empowerment of choice and everybody being able to make that decision for themselves. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So you brought this, you said in the questions you gave me that you brought this to the show, The Dragon's Den, which I have not heard. So I tell me a little bit about what that even means and how was that?
Yeah, so it would be kind of like the equivalent of Shark Tank, right?
Ah,
You've probably heard
okay.
of Shark Tank
Yes,
before.
I have heard of
Um,
Shark Tank.
Businesses come and they pitch their idea to a group of highly wealthy investors. So, Dragon's Den, I was on season 20. I had a blast. It was like Arlene Dickinson and there was like Brian Mulroney. There was all of these different multi-millionaires. So I'm sitting in front of people where the collective worth in the room is like 1.5 billion. There's six people. It was a very elaborate, large film set that they had. It was
Okay.
pretty miraculous, and they created the set to almost reflect like what it would be when you're entering like Heaven's Gates. So you got the big pillars. It looks like Roman kind of setup on
There's
the outside.
smoke or, yeah.
And I brought four women who'd been customers and clients of the program who'd had great experiences. And so I'm coming into the show, and it's not just me, it's like me and there's four other women walking beside me, coming up to share with the Arlene and Manjeet and Brian, and I just had so much fun being in the den with them. It was a really big opportunity for me to just share to a wider audience about what I'm doing. And sorry, remind me again, what was your original question? You just
Well,
wanted to know what
yeah, just
Dragon's Den
sort of,
was,
yeah, what
right?
it was and what it was sort of like to bring this, and because it's probably not the kind of product they're hearing about mostly.
No, it was total shock and awe. The honestly, the faces that they had was so priceless because it really was like left field for them of, whoa, we've never seen anything like this
Right.
coming onto our show, right? And they were really quick, like the producers were really quick to pick me up because there's a couple thousand applicants for this show, and
Uh,
then they only end up giving about 50 people like a seat on the show, right? So
right, right.
it's like less than 1% of people get on the show. So it was high stakes in the first
Yeah.
place to just get myself there, but the producers were really happy and they were just like, "Dang, this was one of the best most entertaining episodes we've had that we filmed so far for this season. Like, thanks so much," right? So they were really happy. It was definitely a mixed reviews. Like, some of them were more concerned and thinking like, oh, like we don't even think this is gonna work. Like, this is kind of BS, or you need more studies, you need more liability support. And then, but there was also like some positive response from Michelle, and she was very intrigued. Like, she loved me. We had a laugh very at the very beginning with one another, and she was just of this mindset of, like, just keep going. And I went on the show as a way to be able to raise some funds because I want to do my own personal study for the program.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as of right now, it's like I'm pulling from like 20 different research studies of like about these herbs, but from different people and about the lifestyle and massage and nutrition aspects, but not a singular one focused on just the brand. So I came onto
Right.
the show being like, I want to do a study. That's what I want the money for. And they were almost in this attitude of like, you
You
should have
should
gotten
have a
that study
study,
already
right?
done. Like, and I'm like, oh, catch 22. Okay. And so
Yeah.
that was like kind of the conclusion, in all of it. And yeah, we're just continuing to go strong and save up some money for doing our own personal studies and everything on it. So that's where we're at the moment, at least. Yes.
And will you lay out like how does the program work? Like what would somebody expect if they were to decide to join you?
Yeah, definitely. So as of right now, we've had over 300 women join the program, and women in over 20 different countries too. So like pretty wide scale amount of individuals. What we've done since day one is provide $100 money back guarantee that they will get the results of 1 cup size with the 4 month program. I did that because I hate buyer's remorse more than anyone in the world. The worst feeling is buying something and it doesn't work out. I hate that. And then we also do a lot of giveaways, like when women want to share their story, their experience, we give away free product. So just to keep it more of a community connection. And we have a lot of like referrals through people that have already started with us. So I have girls that they started with me a decade ago. They still use the program, you know?
Hmm.
So essentially what you're getting is you get a box, you get like an ebook guide, 32 pages that goes into how to do the massage, how to break down your foods, your macronutrients, and then you get the herbs, 4 months worth, and you're starting off the program every day, taking the herbs, doing the massage, and shifting your diet. And it's just those little changes
Yeah.
compounded is where women will get results. And the best result that we've had so far was We've had a few women like come to us in 3 cup sizes after like 12 to 15 months, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I've never even stayed on the full program for longer than 9 months. I'm usually
Yeah.
like, I get 2 cup sizes larger at 9 months, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take a break from the program for a few months, so you can cycle on and off. The idea is that you use the program to get to where you want. So for some clients, they're like, I don't want growth. I just want to feel like I'm filling in my boobs from where they were before, want to help with firming the skin. So some people will just use it for like 2 months and then they'll take a break and then they might, for example, purchase the program for like 1 month of the year or 2 months of the year. And that's enough to
Oh,
maintain
so
what you
okay.
want.
So there is some sort of maintenance. You can't just get where you want to get and stop forever. There's a little bit
Stop
of
forever. Yeah, if you
figuring
stop
out your
everything,
cadence.
if you stop the lifestyle stuff and the food stuff and the herbs, then you're gonna regress often to where you were at the beginning. So there's an aspect where through this process, you really quickly understand like where's the disconnect in your actions and where you are with your relationship to your breast, essentially, right?
Right, right.
So, for example, most women they'll do like 1 to 2 months of the herbs a year for maintenance, which ends up being very affordable. Like US dollars, that's like $150
Yeah,
a year to have the boobs that you want,
yeah.
right? So considerably way, way better than the alternative, right? Where a lot more expensive and a lot more upkeep in a sense.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right. So where do people reach out to you? Where do they, get in touch, learn more? Where should they go?
I started making more like cute collages on Pinterest and more information infographics about the program on Pinterest. That's a place to get a hold of me. Instagram, Facebook, email, our website is www.boobygrow.com. So website's great to reach out. We have like 24/7 support chats as well that are open. And people can also see some of my videos on YouTube. So it's all those different platforms we are live and active on.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.